Ever fire off one of those kind of desperate emails to a company? You know, the ones where you're hoping, really hoping, someone on the other end actually reads it?
Yeah, we've all been there. Frustration City.
Totally. But what if, and this is kind of radical, those complaints could actually, I don't know, help a business?
Interesting.
Yeah, like turning those rants into opportunities. That's what we're digging into today. Taking those customer complaints, all those, your website is down and my order never arrived, and figuring out if they're actually valuable.
You know, it's surprising how many companies just don't. It's like they're sitting on this gold mine of information, but they just ignore it.
Right, like free feedback, but with a side of, I'm going to tweet about this if you don't fix it. Which brings us to Emojot.
Okay, tell me more.
So we went through a bunch of their blog posts, and they're all about using these things called workflows for customer complaint management. CCM, for those in the know.
Right. Workflows. So essentially, it's like the roadmap for how you deal with a complaint from the second it comes in.
And Emojot's whole thing is they let you customize those workflows. So say someone tweets about a late delivery, Emojot can take that tweet, and instead of it getting lost in the Twitterverse, it puts it in the same system as a phone call or an email about the same problem.
Ah, okay. So it's about having one central place to manage everything.
Exactly. It's called omni-channel support. So instead of a company seeing a jumble of messages from every direction, they get this like panoramic view of what's going wrong.
Got it. So it's organized,
Okay.
but I'm guessing it goes beyond that, right?
Oh, absolutely. One of the features I thought was super interesting was this automated reach back thing. Have you ever sent one of those complaint emails and then just found yourself refreshing your inbox every 5 seconds?
The worst. You're just staring at that little spinning wheel, wondering if they even got your message.
Exactly. So Emojot takes care of that. With this automated reach back, you get updates at each stage. Like, we got your complaint, someone's looking into it, here's a plate of virtual cookies while you wait. Okay, maybe not that last one, but you get the idea.
Right, so you're not left in the dark wondering if anyone's even listening.
Exactly. And that brings us to another big one. Automatic assignment. Think about how annoying it is when you have to explain your problem to 5 different people.
Oh, the worst. Okay, let me transfer you to, and then you end up explaining it all over again.
And again and again. So Emojot helps avoid that whole mess. If it's a billing question, boom, it goes straight to the billing department. Not to marketing, who then transfers you to.
Yeah.
Well, you get the picture.
Streamlining, I like it.
Right. So we're seeing how this benefits the business organization, efficiency, all that good stuff. But I'm curious, does it actually lead to happier customers? Because at the end of the day, nobody enjoys complaining. What do you think?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's where things get really interesting. Emojot's saying that true customer satisfaction, it goes beyond just fixing the problem. It's about the whole experience.
Imagine you spill your coffee, like all over yourself, and the barista, instead of doing anything, just kind of stares at you.
Oh, the horror.
The worst. Versus they see it happen, they immediately grab a mop and then hand you a free refill. Like, so sorry about that.
One, you're ready to write a nasty review. The other, maybe you become a regular. It's all about the experience.
Exactly. So how does Emojot make sure that happens? Is it all about just like speed, or is there more to it?
Well, speed definitely matters, right? Nobody wants to wait around forever. But one of the articles we read, it really hammered home this idea of becoming more customer-centric, especially for those smaller companies.
Right.
And a huge part of that is, fixing problems quickly, but also like actually learning from them.
Learning from them.
Yeah.
See, now that sounds a bit like, something you'd read in a business textbook. Can you give me the plain English version?
Sure. Remember how we talked about everything being centralized, all those complaints all in one place? Well, Emojot, they've built in all these tools for analyzing that data.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's not just individual complaints anymore. It's like, oh, wow, we're getting a ton of people saying they can't figure out the checkout process on the website.
That's huge. Instead of just getting defensive about a bad review, they can actually use it to make their website better for everybody.
Exactly. Data-driven decisions. That's what Emojot's all about.
There was even this quote, I think it was in one of their articles, something like, customers who feel heard, who see that their issues were actually resolved, they're way more likely to stick around.
Makes sense. It's that whole feeling of, okay, this company actually cares what I think.
It's not just fixing the problem. It's about the relationship.
100%. And that's where Emojot really shines, I think. They're not about putting a Band-Aid on things. They're giving companies the tools to really build that trust.
Totally. Because knowing a company uses that feedback, it makes you feel less like, I don't know, a complainer, and more like you're actually contributing to something.
Totally. It's like, hey, my feedback actually matters. It kind of flips the script, doesn't it?
Right. It's no longer, ugh, I have to call customer service. It's more like, hey, maybe they'll actually do something about this.
Exactly.
They even have this whole section about transforming complaints into opportunities, which I have to admit sounds a little too good to be true.
Oh, right. Like some kind of alchemy, complaints into gold. But in a way, that's kind of what they're doing.
Because it is valuable information.
Exactly. Think about it. Complaints, they're full of insights. What's frustrating people, what's not working, that's gold for a business.
Okay, so we're seeing the theme here. It's not about making complaints go away completely. It's about like using them as fuel to make things better, both for the customer and for the business.
I like that fuel because it can really power some positive changes.
Right. But let's bring it back to our listeners for a second. Like, what does this actually mean for them? Why should they care about fancy complaint management systems?
It's a good question, and it all boils down to this. We're all customers every single day. So think about a time you had a really good customer service experience where they went above and beyond to fix something or just, listened patiently while you vented. How did that make you feel?
Honestly, it's almost like a weight off your shoulders. Like someone gets it, even if you were the one who messed up in the first place.
It's validating, right? Like, hey, I'm not invisible. They see me. They hear me.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, those terrible customer service experiences where you're just like, ugh, I'm never shopping here again.
The absolute worst. And it sticks with you, like it can tarnish your whole view of a company.
Totally. Like that one bad cup of coffee that makes you avoid the entire place. And that's why this whole thing, this idea of transforming complaints, it's huge.
It really is.
Because Emojot's basically saying, hey, those negative experiences, those aren't things to be afraid of.
Yeah, it's not about burying them. It's about learning from them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe even turning them into something good.
Right. It's a chance to strengthen that relationship with the customer, which in the long run is good for everyone.
Right. Because in a world where, let's be honest, we have a million options, a million places to spend our money.
Oh, for sure.
Those companies that really nail the whole customer service thing, they stand out.
Absolutely. They're the ones we remember, the ones we tell our friends about, like, hey, I had this problem, but they totally went above and beyond to fix it.
Exactly. Word of mouth is powerful stuff. So it sounds like Emojot, they're not just selling software, they're kind of advocating for a whole new way of thinking about this whole customer service thing.
They are. It's refreshing, actually, because it's not about erasing complaints completely. It's about, like you said, seeing the potential in them.
Complaints as opportunities. Who would have thought?
And that brings us to our final thought for you today. Imagine you're designing your dream complaint management system, like the one that makes you go, okay, now this is a company that gets it. What's that one feature, the one that makes you feel heard, valued, and like your feedback actually matters? Let us know.